Hi there, Booktube, it's Ros.
And Steve.
And it's Victober. And as you know, my Victober challenge is to get people to read a bit of Victorian poetry. And I'm making it really easy for people by inviting lovely people to talk about a favourite poet or Victorian poem. And that way you can do the challenge just by watching a video. So Steve has kindly agreed to talk about a favourite collection of Victorian poems of his.
Yeah, AE Housman wrote, well, he started out as a clerk, having not done very well at university, but then actually sort of self-funded some research and became quite a classics expert and taught at Cambridge eventually. But in the late 19th century, late Victorian period, he began to reinvent himself as a poet, and his most famous collection is A Shropshire Lad, which was a favourite of my father's, so that's why it's got a degree of meaning for me.
Yeah. Yes, and it's a collection that provokes a lot of love, I think, amongst some readers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sort of elegiac work. It's trigger warning, a lot of it is about death and suicide and not coming back this way again. Surprisingly, it was written midway through Housman's life. He lived to 1936, so well beyond the Victorian period. But yes, songs, their poems, which are all very much about young men and the brevity of their life. Yeah. Initially, the poems didn't do very well. He self-published them. But as Britain got involved in more and more colonial disputes and more young men were being sent off to faraway places, it became more popular, certainly by the Second Boer War, I think in 1899, and then well beyond the Victorian period, they became massively popular after the First World War.
And quite an influence on some of the World War I poets that are so much admired.
Yeah, I mean, it can be lumped in with a lot of that World War poetry, First World War poetry, but it was written well before.
But he is a Victorian. And it was, 1896, I think he published.
Yeah, he wrote most of the
collection.
poems in 1895, but he self-published in 1896.
So give us a little flavour, Steve.
Okay, well, this one is called, XX111 or XXII 13, but it's the opening line is the lads in their hundreds, which is what it's usually known as. And I shall try and do it justice, not being an out loud poetry reader. The lads in their hundreds to Ludlow come in for the fair. There's men from the barn and the forge and the mill and the fold. The lads for the girls and the lads for the liquor are there, and there with the rest are the lads that will never be old. There's chaps from the town and the field and the till and the cart, and many to counter the stalwart, and many the brave, and many the handsome of face and the handsome of heart, and few that will carry their looks or their truth to the grave. I wish one could know them, I wish there were tokens to tell, the fortunate fellows that now you can never discern, and then one could talk with them friendly and wish them farewell, and watch them depart on the way that they will not return. But now you may stare as you like, and there's nothing to scan, and brushing your elbow unguessed at, and not to be told, they carry back bright to the coiner the mintage of man, the lads that will die in their glory and never be old.
Yes, wow. Yeah, you can see why in wartime people turn back to a poem like that to express
their feelings about longevity and memory and things like that.
And also in the collection you get some that are more sort of celebratory about sort of the beauty of nature and so on. It's not all kind of
I think, I mean, the famous one about the cherry blossom or the cherry tree, but that's about enjoying it while you can.
Yes, seize the day. Yeah,
very much. Yeah, as I was saying, I get 70 a year and 10 according to the Bible. I've had 20 of those, and 50's not much left to spend time looking at cherry blossoms. So get on with it. Yeah. I think there's part of that that goes on.
Yes, and another thing that has come out of this collection of poetry is a lot of music, isn't it?
Yeah. Very influential on a lot of English composers of the early 20th century. Ralph Vaughan Williams set most of the poems in Shropshire Lad, and I think the subsequent collection of Housman's poetry, he set them to music as songs. Inspired a lot of other people, particularly George Butterworth, who actually died. In the First World War himself, by having written various settings.
And Ivor Gurney, another.
Ivor Gurney is another, who was influenced by Housman
and set some to music.
Samuel Barber, and even sort of up to a later period, people like Goretzky, however you pronounce his name. I apologise, but very influential, I think.
So I'll try to find some of those to link to in the description, so that you can perhaps listen to some of the poems rather than read them.
There is a very, very good version of the poem I just read, Lads in Their Hundreds, by Quercus, which is a sort of English improvisational jazz folk trio, with June Tabor on vocals, and June Tabor has a way of delivering a lyric which is entirely suited to this, and it's a very, very beautiful. So her voice, a saxophone and a piano,
and these words,
improvising around the Butterworth theme for the same tune. So if we can make a link to that, that would be brilliant.
We will, and I'd urge you to listen to it.
Me too.
Thanks, Steve, for sharing that.
Nice to see you all again.
And if anyone else feels like they have a Victorian poem they particularly like to share with the world of Victober, put a message in the comments, and maybe we can make that happen.